On this episode of Taco Tuesday, we're looking at a very, very different dish, probably a dish that a lot of people don't know is Mexican. Albondigas are basically Mexican meatballs. So we're gonna make albondigas. I've got pork and beef mince, which I'm gonna bring together with some spices and some rice. You probably made these when you were doing home economics at school, sort of those porcupine meatballs. The rice is there to soak up the excess moisture that comes out of the beef and the pork when you cook it. So, first thing I want to do, garlic and onion. I'm going to dice these. These will go into my albondiga mix. And in Mexico, albondigas there's lots of different things that are made into albondigas. Seafood, at times you make a seafood or a fish mousse and turn it into a little albondiga. They're basically just a little meatball, little morsel of meat that you put together. So garlic, finely diced. I'm going to dice my onion nice and fine as well. Basically, we're trying to get as much flavour as we can into these little meatballs. Once I've finished dicing the onion, it will go into a bowl with my pork and with my beef. And the reason we use pork and beef is we want a little bit of fat, otherwise they dry out. So the pork mince gives us a little bit more fat content than the lean beef mince does. So our pork mince and our beef mince will go in, then our spice mix. We're using the nacho spice mix. All right, dice our onion up. Now you want this to be a fairly fine dice because it's going through the meatball and you're not cooking it out beforehand. So it is going in raw. So a nice fine dice. Will get cooked out, obviously, when we put the tin tomato in and cook the meatballs in their own sauce, but we still want it to be nice and fine. And to be honest, that's probably enough. Wouldn't want any more than that. So pop that into a bowl. We had these, or I had these, in Mexico in a place called Oaxaca. We went out and visited a market in Oaxaca, and it was like a food market for raw ingredients, so fresh produce, and also there was a little food antojitos sort of bar there where you could grab food, and we had this, albondigas, for the first time. It was absolutely beautiful. All right, so beef mince and pork mince in. You want a big pinch of salt to go with that, because that's also going to act as our binding agent. So the more we work the meat and the more salt that's in there, we sort of unravel the proteins, and then those proteins bond with each other and it sticks our meatballs together. Our spice mix. And a little bit of rice, really 2 tablespoons of rice, just to soak up that excess moisture that's going to come out. All right, so now it's time to get your hands dirty. You've got to stick your hands in there. The more you work this, the better off your meatballs are going to be. So a good little tip when you're rolling out these meatballs, get a little jug of water like I had and just keep your hands wet. That way you won't get the meat stick to you. It'll be much easier to roll the meatballs. So I've got my pan on my pot on, a little bit of oil. Don't need a lot. Hopefully we'll render some of the pork fat out, which we can cook in. And then in they go. I'm probably gonna have to cook these in 2 waves. All right, that's enough for this one. Cook those, take them out, cook the rest. Everything goes back in, tomato passata goes on top of that, and then they go in the oven for about half an hour to 45 minutes. I've added my tin tomatoes to that, and now it's ready to go into the oven. So I can turn that heat off, pop it into a roasting tray. The oven's set Oven set at about 160 degrees. Some cheese on top. And in it goes. That'll take about 35 to 45 minutes. The cheese will go nice and golden, that sauce will reduce, and then you've got these little morsels of flavour, which you can use for lots of different things. They can go into a tortilla like they would a taco. You can use them to go with vegetables on top of mashed potato or smashed potato and rice if you want to. You can make some Mexican rice and put it with that. They're very, very versatile and can be used in many, many different ways. So it's a good recipe to have up your sleeve and a great way for us to showcase something a little different, not so taco-ish on Taco Tuesday. And a great memory for me of traveling through Mexico, eating these in that market in Oaxaca, and having my eyes open to a dish that I had no idea actually existed in Mexico. This idea of these little meatballs sitting in a nice little simmer sauce that you can use on many, many different things. I had no idea there was any such thing as an albondiga. So thank you for joining us on Old El Paso Taco Tuesday for something a little bit different, something that's not a taco but is still just as tasty that you can make at home.